Let's start off with this game's elephant in the room, or should I say elephant in the small room, because this game has extremely small city sizes. Now, I understand that they made this game thinking that any computer should be able to run it, but it does ruin the experience of building cities because, as this game calls them, they're regions. So you feel like the game should have really been called Sims Regions, because you are not building a city in this game by any means. You start off, then you're limited to a very small space. It frustrates you, it adds many setbacks. What frustrates me even more is it's not even like Maxis has never made a game in this franchise that has massive cities. If you look at this example that I'm going to show you, which is SimCity 3000, this map sizes are absolutely huge. Now, I understand this is 2D isometric, but still, I'd rather sacrifice the good 3D graphics for the experience of actually building a city. I mean, this map is humongous. It wasn't made by me. I'm not that good at the game. But it is a clear example of how there is a difference between this and this. Quite hilarious, considering this is the newer game. You'd presume it's older, just for the fact that the gameplay is very limited. Now, I'll say limited gameplay, but what I mean by this is the gameplay on this game is extremely unbalanced, and what I mean by that is there are very serious issues with this game, like bad traffic, and also cities struggle to be self-sufficient because you end up racking up a massive expenditure against your city for trying to be self-sufficient and not go with the standard route of working together with other regions. You come to a point in the game where you feel almost the game is begging Maxis to make your regions bigger, because the game will constantly nag you that it needs more industry, it needs more residential, and it needs more commercial. And you're just there, just like, what can I do? Expansion is just so hard with such small city sizes. And that leads me on to my next point, which is that the game almost blames you for the fact that it doesn't work properly, in the sense of, granted, the game provides new and fresh challenges, which I really do enjoy. For example, the game expects you to collaborate with your friends in other regions in your game, which I absolutely love, if it worked. Which it doesn't with me. I don't know how other people are finding it, but for me, it's just not working how it should. I feel like as if the game doesn't even trust me in some way. For example, once I sent my friend some money in another region as a gift, and I think there's no other clip to describe how my situation ended up other than this one.
Well, that's fantastic. A really smart decision, young man. We can put that check in a money market mutual fund. Then we'll reinvest the earnings into foreign currency accounts with compounding interest, and it's gone.
And that's exactly what happened. I sent off the money, and it's gone. It just never showed up. It never refunded me back the money. It said 10 grand had been taken from your account, but after hours of gameplay, it just never got sent to the person. Now, this issue could be fixed, so I won't go into it that much, but for now, it's quite irritating. Speaking of irritating, one of the most irritating things on this game is the fact that you can't make any money on the mass transit system. Now, this might sound like a very unimportant thing, but on previous games you were able to make income, and it would either make a profit if you set it up really well, or it would at least cover costs. But because on this game you cannot make any income whatsoever from your mass transit system, it creates quite an unbalanced experience, because the more mass transit you add, the higher your expenditure goes up. Because of this expenditure, it causes your income from other sources to absolutely dwindle, meaning that any form of income you get has now gone, meaning that most of the time you're actually making a loss. This is one of the main things that actually kills off my cities. What's even more frustrating about this game, I know this is an extremely negative review by the way, but it is quite bad in terms of the previous ones were great, which upsets me a lot. But anyway, what's even more frustrating about this game is that because you have to account for this increasing expenditure when you try and expand your city, for whatever reason, whether it's because you've added more transit or you've just put a hospital in, so now you have to start paying for health bills, you have to obviously increase your tax, which just pisses off your city. And there is only one thing I can give this game credit for, is the fact that this game knows how to make your city constantly, and I mean constantly, complain. They non-stop complain. I mean, it could be the perfect city, and they will just find one tiny little detail and just rant about it forever. Like, for example, I had an issue of a few people were getting sick, a single person was getting sick, and they'll just whine about it for hours. So they'll say, please build more hospitals. We're all dying. That's honestly what they say. We're all dying. I mean, one, that's a bit of an exaggeration as it is, but that is an actual genuine complaint. I'm not even joking. But I react to this statement thinking, oh god, quick, let's check the stats of my city's deaths count. And it's like 1 a day. And I'm just there like, I can't stop people dying. This isn't Sim God City. Just when you think, this guy's gonna finally calm down that's doing this review, I'm sorry, I'm not. Because there's another thing that really irritates me on this game. And I even, when I was writing down my notes for this, I've actually titled, just why would you do this? And this is the fact that they've made that your regions or your city can't go into minus budget, e.g. into debt. I mean, why would you do that to a game? On the old games, you could go into debt. I mean, on the old games, it was like almost a necessary must to go into debt, because that was the fun of it. You had to wait until you finally made profit, because it was like the best thing in the world to be seeing that little green plus symbol saying you're making money. But on this game, as soon as you go into debt, it'll come up with a menu saying you got to turn off your buildings, you got to increase your taxes, or take out a loan. And even the last option is you have to start again. So you could have a really great city, and just because you've made one slip up and you know you can't recuperate these expenditures that you've got without just letting your city develop a bit more, you have to start all over again by moving to a different region, which by the way is really irritating if you want a lot of people to play, because it means that they can't get inside that city that you've just abandoned, because it's basically a broken city which you cannot fix for some reason, because as soon as they get on it, it'll just say, oh, this city's in debt, you gotta fix it. But you can't, because you can't fix the debt that they're in, because they left it in debt. I mean, if you took this into realistic world, what life is actually like, just look at Greece. What the hell's Greece supposed to do with their financial situation? The whole world is in an economic crisis. So what the hell's supposed to happen in real life? Does a menu come down in real life to the governments and say, you have to start turning off buildings, or you could just start all over again? Yay! Which clearly would not happen. So why put it in this game? Why? It's like you're trying to build a worse game just to make, what, more money on DLC so you can go into debt? I just don't get you, EA and Maxi. Let's talk about something a bit more positive, shall we? Which is, granted, I've called this one on my notes an experiment destined to fail. So already this is going to be extremely positive. And that is the city specializations, which I think is actually a great idea. I know, a compliment, amazing, an actual great idea. But it just falls a bit flat on its own arse. I mean, the trading is actually really good in terms of specializations. You know, your commercial likes trading to ship in goods, and your industrial produces the goods that you can ship out to make money. I actually really like that system. I think it's a really, really smart way to add an extra way of income with the already very limited ways to make money on this game. I've got to calm down again, I'm sorry. But the main issue with city specializations is that, yet again, I mean, all they have to do is just make the regions bigger and I'd be a lot happier. But yet again, the building sizes for these things are huge. I mean, absolutely massive. And this isn't even taking into account, which I've not mentioned yet, I do apologise, the fact that buildings need upgrades, which means they add on little extra buildings that go along with them. And it just makes it even massiver. Makes it even bigger. They're absolutely huge, the size of buildings that you end up having to have for these specializations. Also, because your city is just crammed full of stuff, when you put like an oil thing in there, your whole city's like, where? why have you put this freaking oil refinery right next to my house? It's like, I can't do anything about it. The freaking map sizes are so small. But it is a great way of earning a hell of a lot of money, in the sense of you can actually support your city by, for example, the expo centers that are in the game. You have to activate events by putting in a lump sum of money to start the event, to fund the event, and then if you get a lot of attendance from quite high population in a city, then you'll make a profit. If it goes wrong, then you'll make a loss. So it can go either way. But if you do make a profit, which most times you should, you make a huge amount of profit, like hundreds of thousands of pounds, which allows you sometimes to, in most cases, support your city from having an expenditure of -2 to 3,000 grand an hour. But you do feel you are like tippy-toeing close to the minus debt menu that shows up, that tells you, game over buddy, you've screwed this one up again, even though it's not your fault, it's ours. But there are many more things I could say about this game that I really dislike, like the fact that the upgrade system, I could talk about that more and how much I dislike that, and the fact that the expenditures are stupid on this game and the building prices are a bit overpriced on this game, and the fact that the music isn't as good on this game. But yeah, again, I'm talking a bit too much about what I don't like, but maybe that's the fault with this review that I'm doing. I concentrate too much on how good the previous games were. SimCity 3000, although it might not have had all the fancy gadgets that the new SimCity has, like the stunning 3D graphics, the building system to an extent is good, and so many other cool features that are on this new game, which truly I didn't credit enough. It's just how unbalanced this game truly is, just lets it down so much, and the previous games in the series were truly games that were just so solid in that sense. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Cyinicalgamer. This has been my very negative SimCity review. I'm not always this negative, even though my name is Cyinicalgamer. I do actually have some happy moments. And remember to check out my channel for some more videos that I'll be releasing soon.